Hi, I'm Matt Asner, and welcome to the December edition of On the Spectrum with Matt Asner. Our show today, we're going to have some great guests today. We have Kamina Ballard-Dawson on to talk about the new Autism Speaks Adolescent Toolkit, which is important for anyone who has a child on the spectrum. I know I need it, and I know if you're watching me and you have a child growing up with autism, you probably need it. So we're going to talk to her about this new toolkit and what readers and users of the toolkit can expect from it, and also talk a little bit about her life as a mom with a child on the spectrum. We're also going to have my incredible wife, Navah Paskowitz-Asner, on, and a special guest with her. And you see all this festive stuff around me. Well, you know, it's Hanukkah, so we're going to talk about Hanukkah and the importance of Hanukkah to any young person on the spectrum at the home. So what we can do to make it fun and safe and wonderful. So really quick, I wanted to talk about the new PSA that Autism Speaks has. It's an amazing animated piece about a young boy who has autism. We debuted it, I believe, about a month ago, and it's gotten tremendous response. And we're really excited to present it to you today. So I'm gonna show that, then I'm gonna come back and talk a little bit about some more news, and we'll be right back. So this is our new PSA from Autism Speaks.
This is the story of a boy who didn't talk for a long time. The boy liked things to always be the same. Any changes would scare and upset him. The unknown was an unfriendly place. The boy was very sensitive to lights and sounds. So he built secret hiding places where they couldn't get in. The boy didn't like looking people in the eye. He wasn't trying to be mean, it just made him feel uncomfortable. Sometimes he would flap his arms again and again.
One day, I found out I have something called autism. My family got me help. Slowly, I found my voice and learned all the ways I could live with it better.
Early intervention can make a lifetime of difference. Learn the signs at autismspeaks.org.
Pretty cool, huh? So I had the great pleasure of making an animated piece for Autism Speaks with a friend of mine, Matt Manning. We made two of them, actually. One was called My Name is David, the other one's My Name is Neil. And it's great to see the organization having fun with something that's a very serious message. So I hope you enjoyed that. We have some news. We have a new board member at Autism Speaks, and his name is Stephen Shore. He's an amazing guy. And the really good news is next month in January, Stephen's going to be joining me on the show, and we're going to be talking about his new role as national board member for Autism Speaks, Dr. Stephen Shore. So really excited by that. And I want to hear from you. I want to hear how do you make Hanukkah and Christmas special for your children at home. So in the January edition of On the Spectrum, I'm going to be reading some of the tweets that we get and some of the Facebook posts that we get, and I want you to tell me what makes the holiday season in your house special for your family, for your special kids. And I want to hear all about it. And Nava's going to be here a little later, and we're going to talk about what makes the holiday special in our house. So let me know. Just write us on Facebook or Twitter and let us know what makes it special in your house. We want to know. We want to hear from you as to what that is like. Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and when I come back, I'm going to have in this seat right next to me Kamina Ballard-Dawson, who is the new author for the Autism Speaks Adolescent Toolkit. We will be right back with Kamina Ballard-Dawson. Welcome back to On the Spectrum. I have the great honor of having in the studio someone I admire. I do. Kamina Ballard-Dawson, who is an incredible volunteer for Autism Speaks, I must say. She's tireless and always going. Incredible energy, a lot of energy. And you also you're also very prolific with the Children's Hospital, with the ATN.
Yes.
We have 2 ATNs here in Southern California. We have one at the Children's Hospital in Los Angeles, and the other one is at the Center for Autism and Neurodevelopmental Disorders in Irvine. So first of all, thank you for volunteering all the time and being a tireless volunteer.
It is my pleasure. It's an absolute honor to do so.
Thank
you.
You're one of the people who's always standing up at the end of the day and never sitting down, and it's great to see you.
I do try. I keep in mind just all the families that need help,
Right.
that are just like mine. So I really try to do a good job to be in the community and make sure people see me,
And you're one of those families.
Yes, I am. I have a 13-year-old daughter who's on the spectrum. Her name is Kina, and she is actually a part of what we will be discussing today. So, yes, I do this all from a place of passion. And not only that, I'm the aunt to a 5-year-old.
And this is interesting because it's your twin sister.
My twin sister's son has autism, and he didn't speak until he was 4 years old. He's 5 now, so he's been speaking for a year, and we got over that hump. And so we're continuing the fight with another child. So it's very important, a place of passion for me.
And your experiences with your daughter helped you talk to your sister about your nephew's autism.
Once I did the thing with Kina and did all of that, my nephew had to be the first the first component that I looked at and said, okay, this kid is going to get what we can get him. Early intervention was a must, and because I had learned so much, and we got the kid to talk, and that was just amazing. We thought he would never say mama or anything. He was just making noises and so I was very proud of myself after that. I must say, I did pat myself on the back. I thought, okay, autism didn't win this one.
Well, it always feels good when that happens.
Yes, it does.
Now I'm interested here. Okay, so we're talking here.
Okay.
So when you spoke to your sister, I would assume you were very close. You're twins. Mm-hmm. When you spoke to your sister, was it an easy conversation? Because I always talk to people, and they're always telling me, "Oh, I have this friend or I have this family member, and we want to talk to them because we really feel that their son or daughter might have autism." And it's a very slippery slope. It's very tough discussion to have with someone. No one wants to hear that.
Right.
And there's a lot of denial going on because people don't want to hear it.
Yes.
So what was that conversation like?
What was very interesting is that we never thought that we would get another autism diagnosis for the first thing. We thought maybe he would be sensory disorder or something of the like, but never autism. And when we did get that, the conversations still couldn't begin because my sister had seen me go through so much with my daughter that I don't know if automatically she thought maybe the same thing would happen to her, but it was just a very deep, disheartening, I want to say. Mm-hmm. It was almost like tragic in our family. My mother took it very, more difficult at the time before my sister really started getting into her 12 stages of acceptance. The parents go through so many things. Yeah. So when we sat down after she got her diagnosis, after she heard the words, it was just all we could really say is that we're with you. You're never going to have to go through this alone, and we're with you, and we're going to help you every step of the way. And it didn't take, at that point, I want to believe that it really comforted my sister, but she knew what this world was about, and she didn't know what her child would be because every child with autism is specifically their own person, and they're all different, like snowflakes. But it's I just wanted her to know that we were there, and she heard me eventually. Can I say that? She heard me eventually. Yeah. It took a very, very long time, and so even now she's still she's in her therapy phase right now. So, my nephew's got his therapy this, therapy that, on and on and on, where she's doing that.
And how long ago did that diagnosis happen with you?
Actually a year and a half ago.
Oh wow!
So we're still new. We're still new here.
So now I've met your sister.
You have.
Because you guys sing together.
We sing. We're in a group called K Divas, and we actually had the pleasure of performing at the 2013 Walk Now for Autism Speaks. And it was the year that she had gotten her diagnosis for her son. So our performance reflected that, and we were only so happy to do so. And it took a lot. That performance, we gave a lot. You know, she gave a lot, and she ended up in tears on stage. She was on the, I think, the cover of like the Pasadena Sun-Times, like crying.
I remember this, and I honestly didn't know the backstory there.
And that was the backstory. And what
Interesting.
ended up happening is the kids were in the audience. And so we were actually singing to our children who
Yeah.
were right down here in the front, which you can't see on the video or anything like that. And it's just, Keena was there, and Kyrus is my nephew's name, and he was there, and it was weird because even then he was doing the autism thing. It's like holding his ears, it's like, oh, too much noise. But typical. But my sister was just in tears. She was breaking down, and it was really our opportunity to kind of inspire other parents to keep fighting.
You have to keep fighting.
You have to keep fighting. You have to keep fighting. I know you always say on this show, hope.
Yeah, hope is my favorite four-letter word.
Hope is your favorite four-letter word. And that day, maybe my sister had another word, but hope was the word that we were trying to. Hers was probably a little bit more negative, you know, but hope was the word that we wanted to try to convey to other parents.
Well, I mean, sometimes it's hard to see the hope. I mean, because there's a lot going on that's trying to strip that hope down.
Oh, my God.
And so a family is essential
Yeah.
and extremely important, you know,
Yeah.
for that hope to survive. And so you're all together. It's a wonderful thing.
It is. And here's the weird thing about it. Everybody's always like, it's your twin sister?
Yeah.
So a lot of this, I doubled over with his services and everything as she did my child, because it was almost my way of giving back to her what she had given to me with my daughter.
Yeah.
And I think that was the beauty of being twins and having kids on the spectrum that we really benefited from. And really, I mean, I just think I'm blessed in that sense to have had her all of that time. And it's, of course, it's different when it comes to it being your child as opposed to it being maybe a sibling or something
Right.
like that. But I had her back. She had mine. You know what I mean? So at least we were blessed in that. You know what I mean? You got to be, the cup is always half full. You got to be thankful for those things that you can be thankful for during that time.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So Keena is now how old?
13 years
13.
old.
You sense a segue coming?
Oh, God.
You sense a segue coming here.
I do. I feel it coming on. I feel the segue.
So let's talk about, you are the co-author, is that right?
I am.
The co-author of the new Adolescent Toolkit for Autism Speaks.
Yes.
Very important.
Very.
Anyone who has a child on the spectrum knows that eventually they're going to go through adolescence and puberty.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
And I know from my own experience, it's been a terrifying prospect to look at my child or our children and think,
Yes.
oh wow,
Yes, yes.
eventually that's going to happen.
Yes.
And you know, I know that there's some incredible people out there working in this field, and this toolkit's incredible. We're going to talk about it right now.
Thank you.
Let's talk a little bit about it. So tell us a
Okay.
little bit about the toolkit and where people can get it. And it's one of the, I think, 40-odd toolkits you can download for free
Yes.
on the Autism Speaks resource page.
Yes, yes.
So
yes.
let's talk about what we can find inside that toolkit.
Okay, well, first of all, it's the Puberty and Adolescent resource for families. And what families can find in this toolkit, first of all, you can't miss it, because if you're watching this, then you'll see me and the 13-year-old Keena that I know and love on the cover. She was not 13 at the time when I started, she was 9. And what came about is I work with an amazing team of doctors and clinicians and professionals with the Autism Treatment Network that's through Autism Speaks. And we really just felt that there was a need for, first of all, getting into transition in the older ages, things that were other than earlier intervention and things like that, but also just getting into the tough subject of puberty and adolescence was something that the parents really kind of came at us with. We need this. And
It's
at the
scary.
time, it was very scary, and was very scary for me because my daughter, when I first started this, was 9.
Yeah.
And so we were just getting into it, and I thought, here's a project I can really sink my teeth into. And I became the co-lead to the actual group overall, which means nationally we had our sites in the U.S. and in Canada helping us out, and we did it conference calls, and I was really just trying to get to be the advocate for this to always come out. You know what I mean? And so what parents can find there is not only my personal story of what I went through all that time, having a female on the autism spectrum, but also everything that they can find out about development. There's personal stories in there from other parents, including dads. So it tells their story as well. There's obviously the science things, there's the tough things, and there's also scripts that you can use to speak to your child who may have a developmental disability, because Lord knows we all need it, right? It's typically developing kids too, right? They get in there. But we can talk to them, we can give them scripts. There's amazing visuals of what actually happens when you start your menstruation and things like this, and they're not too graphic, but these things can also be used as visual aids. You can print them out as you're printing out the toolkit, and you're actually able to use those to either make things visual for your child and or start a conversation with your doctor, clinician. And so we made sure that we thought of, and it's also linked with our other resources, which is very important, because this toolkit not only gives a full collaboration of parents, providers, community, it also gives you links to other resources that you might be able to use from Autism Speaks. And so if you go right to the Autism Speaks website, you're able to look that up under the families, and family services will also have the information. It'll also be available on the Autism Treatment Network site. So any of those places, you will be able to find this and really use this tool.
So, and what are we talking about here? We're talking about, when we talk about adolescence and puberty.
Yeah.
What I mean, the main thing I'm thinking of is the dealing with sexuality and the.
God, Matt, you went right.
I'm sorry.
You just went right for that.
That's the thing we all kind of get most worried about and scared about. I mean, for any kid growing up, being a parent and talking to them about sexuality and I think we've all grown accustomed to having those codes that we use. Which children with autism are not necessarily going to readily take.
No.
So let's
not at all.
I mean, let's talk about that. That's a very difficult situation because we've been so programmed, probably since the 50s and a little bit before that, to talk about sex or sexuality in a very coded way.
Right.
So. In the toolkit, do we break that down and kind of say
so
this is...
in this toolkit there are no codes.
Okay,
because and I'm sure the doctors and the professionals and clinicians would agree, we want to use the real terms with our children to make sure that they know what they're dealing with, what's in their bodies. And our kids are very literal thinkers of being on the spectrum. They need to know what this thing, is. What is that? You know what I mean? So there are no codes in this toolkit, and furthermore, not only is there no codes, we had to put a disclaimer at the beginning saying there are no codes.
Right. So be careful when you open the pages here.
So when you open the pages here, you're going to see what's real, and we didn't want to hide that because we really wanted to get our kids together, and it's about the preparation of it, because you don't want to be walking into this thing. You want to have as much time to prepare as possible. It takes our children, and it may, depending on the case, it may take them a little bit longer to learn what you're talking about and to practice and rehearse and get these things together. I mean, we're month to month right now.
Yeah.
With Keena.
Yeah.
I'm going to be completely honest. We're month to month.
Yeah.
And those months can look difficult sometimes. Some months are just more difficult than the other.
And I know about your story. I mean, we've known each other for a while, your daughter has struggled with some aggression issues because of adolescence, and which came on because of adolescence, I would imagine.
Yes.
And so talk a little bit about maybe how the toolkit deals with that and how it prepares people to.
That was also very important for me to verbalize, and my story's in the middle of the toolkit, but I almost didn't want to put my name on it. Mm-hmm. It was that sensitive.
Very personal.
It was very personal, and the aggression, elopement, and property destruction had begun. It had started. And this was real things that I was dealing with. And so each page of me overseeing this toolkit process was very personal to me because it was really happening. Yeah. And it was happening in my life. And there were some people who thought that didn't belong in a puberty toolkit. But as puberty progresses and pre-puberty comes on, we might see those things from our children. And so I really wanted to make sure that we were as honest as possible with the parents, because when parents were coming to me, parent to parent, that's what they were really worried about. They were worried about their quality of life. They were worried about safety. Yeah. They were worried about running away, which we call elopement. They were worried about the aggression. And that goes along with the sensory issues that the kids may have, and we wanted to really look at that.
Well, aggression certainly is an issue.
Yes.
But also an issue would be, and certainly I've had experience with this. It would be a child that is too trusting, and how to prepare that child for, being a young adult and moving into that area.
Having a female, I was not at all, like I said, with this whole thing, it was very personal to me, but it was also personal to other parents and other people who had given me their story, who had shared with me, and that was also a big concern. It was a big concern about how to look for abuse in children that were also nonverbal, because not all of our children are low verbal. And so we looked at that as well. We tried to really think of everything that would be a concern to families, and to make sure that we could do a proper a segue or something that would be a conversation starter, so that those people could also talk to their providers and to other caregivers and to staff that help to take care of their children, because that's also a real thing. And our children tend to be victims a lot more than maybe typically developing children who may be able to talk or ask for help. And I'm not saying that that's a statistic that I'm quoting. I'm just saying the numbers are a lot higher. It's scary.
Yeah.
Very scary.
It is scary. All right, let's talk a little bit about what we talked about before, codes.
Okay.
So, because I'm sure there are people saying, well, what does he mean by codes?
Okay.
What is he talking about? And I'll explain one, and then maybe you can explain one.
Okay.
So the one that I kind of use when I talk to people about this is when we talk about our bodies, and we say, well, those are my private parts, or those are your private parts, and don't let anyone else touch them, that kind of thing. To a child with autism who's hearing that, the takeaway from that is that, well, that's private, but everything else is public. So, I mean, really, right?
Right.
Because we're talking about literal terms, right? So, so we can't use really that term, private parts, really, in essence, because their whole body is private.
Right. Exactly.
And we have to teach them that that's the truth, that the whole body is private. It's not one part that's private. It's the whole body is private. So that's one example.
That is one example.
I hope I'm not making you nervous.
No, you're not making me nervous.
Okay.
I helped write the puberty
That's
toolkit.
right. Yeah. You've been through it.
Well, there's a really cute story in there that made me think, which made me smile. There was a mom, one of our co-authors, our parent partners, in Canada, who shared a cute little story about her son's carrot nose while they were in church.
Okay.
And it was almost to say, he's like pointing down because he obviously has an erection in church and doesn't know what to do.
Right.
You know what I mean? But he kind of have to say, son, put your penis away. You know what I mean? This is not a public situation where you need to do that. And so we really went ahead and said that in there. We gave a cute little story, and we gave it a great way to segue into saying, okay, this is what you call a private behavior, and when you need to masturbate, you need to be asked to be excused and go to your room, or whatever they found was appropriate. And that was one of those cute little codes. It's like, I got a carrot nose.
See?
But no, you got an erection.
See, there are no codes on this show.
There's
no codes on this show.
Codes. You have to take off the gloves and
That's
be
right.
like, put your penis away.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Because let's face it, I mean, children with autism are certainly more comfortable with nudity than other children.
My daughter wouldn't wear clothes until she was like 6.
Yeah.
Or like 7, and she still will walk in the bathroom
Actually.
straight nude and be like, Mom, I need some help. I'm like, Kina, you're a big girl now. I don't want to see all of that. But yeah, it happens. There's
no shame.
There's no fear. There's no shame. There's not a lot. Like they have no what we call filter.
Yeah.
I guess there's no social context or constructs. I forget what they call the term that makes them know, hey, this is me, because they don't see it the way we see it.
Yeah.
And so, but then also, I really like that. I would not change that about
Of
my
course.
daughter for the
It's
world.
a beautiful thing.
I love it.
Yeah.
Even on the show, when you had your son,
Yeah.
he was that was funny. I was cracking up. I was like, I love this kid. He was just singing. But I love that kid. I love that he does that. You know what I mean? Because he's unafraid.
Yeah.
And that's going to help him in other things in life. How do you feel about autism? It's awesome. Ask my daughter how she feels about it. She's
Right.
fine. I wear a pink puzzle piece. I can't wear blue.
Yeah.
Why? Because girls have autism too.
Yeah.
And that's the way she feels, and it's an amazing thing, and she wouldn't change who she is. She believes that she's a great person, and so do I. I'm like, wow.
And we want them to feel awesome.
Well, I take that from them. I take that awesomeness and really just use it as part of my motivation to go out there and just help other people, because if she can deal with everything she's dealing with, you know what I mean? It's nothing for me to have her back and
Yeah,
support her.
exactly.
So during this whole toolkit, it was like, I got to do this, you know, for the awesome little girl. And you know what? She's very pleased she's on the cover. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm just going to put that out there. I'm like, Keena, you're on the cover. She's like, that's awesome. It's me. I'm Keena. I'm awesome. I'm like, you are. That you are. You are. I love that kid. And so I think I hope that she looks back on this years from now and just see the contribution and just see what people are thinking about and how she helped others as well as she becomes a budding self-advocate. I'm really hoping for that. I'm really pushing to say, okay, I did all this, and I did it with using you as my motivation, and knowing that autism and really puberty didn't beat us. I mean, because it's crazy for all parents. I'm not saying that.
That's right.
I feel like we all should get like a government sanctioned like vacation after like, you know, middle school is over. It's like, okay, you all can go somewhere and do something. So
I think that should just come with parenthood.
I really
right?
think so. I think it should be for all of us. I'm saying all of us. I'm saying parents with special needs kids, we have a much harder time, but I think regular kids, typically developing kids, get crazy too. Just saying.
Yeah.
And they can look at this toolkit too. I've actually started to put this out to many of my other friends whose kids are just hitting 11. And I'm going, hey, take a look. It doesn't matter, because, you know, it will help them learn as well. It's visual, there's simple words, there's resources. So, you know, just because, you know, don't think that it's not very useful. I think it's useful for many families.
So so how can someone, and I know how to do it, but how can someone who's intrigued by this, as I'm sure they are right now, how can someone download this toolkit? It's free?
It's free, and it will be coming in a print version, so we will have it at our resource fairs and everything, so look for that at the walks. But they can simply log on to the autismspeaks.org website, and they can look under the Family Services link, and they can click on that toolkit. You'll see it, Puberty and Adolescence Resource. They have all the toolkits there, but in case you need this one, you can go right there and download it. And they may ask you for some information, and don't be afraid by that. I don't know if parents are put off by having to sign up for things, but what they're doing is to make sure that you're getting what you need in that toolkit, and they won't use your information for anything. It's not like they're going to spam you or whatever. Autism Speaks doesn't do that, I promise. And they promise. It's right there. So they can sign up for that. And we also would like to see and get feedback and reaction from parents to see what was usable, what, you know, in case we have to make a different version later on. And so encouraging parents to do that. autismspeaks.org, the website, and go on to the Family Services link.
And I know it's in English.
Yes, it's in English and will soon be in Spanish. We're also going to, I'm putting this out there to the universe. We want to put it in French, because our partners who are in the Canadian sites have a need for French. So
Of course.
we will make sure that we are getting on top of translating that as soon as we possibly can.
All right. Well, so you heard it here. You go to autismspeaks.org, to our resource page,
Yes.
download the toolkit for free.
Free.
That and 39 other toolkits, I believe.
39 other toolkits, and I wanted to give you, oh my God, live.
Live.
So live.
Live.
So live. I want to give
streaming.
you this.
Does this have the new toolkit on it?
Listen, we're going to give you the new toolkit on this, but this has
I mean, it is
everything.
free, so I can download it.
It is free, so you can download it, and you can keep it up to date. But what it is a nice little flash drive of all the toolkits on there. And so you'll be able to have your resource. And we're going to start giving those away so we can be conscious of our planet, not so much paper.
Exactly.
And so we're going to make sure that we're actually doing that as well. We want to do it all.
Thank you, Kamina. Thank
You're
you
very
much.
welcome.
I appreciate
Good
this.
for you. I don't know if you have one of those already, because you have nearly everything. You got cookies. You got.
Well, you know, by the way, please take some gelt. It's Hanukkah, and
I shall take all of these things.
Please do. Please
I
do.
shall take all of these things, and if you don't know anything about me, I love to celebrate.
I do know that about you.
You do,
Yes,
right? You
you're
do,
a-
right?
a vibrant
So,
personality,
yeah,
yes.
I got a couple of these, I may take, I can't take a candle. We got
Cookie?
to add more.
Take
but,
a cookie.
We should play some menorah games later.
No, dreidel.
Dreidel, I'm sorry, play
Yes.
the dreidel game. And, oh, wait, you didn't, you already had the menorah light part before I showed up. So
Well,
we
we're
don't
going
get
to do it
that.
again. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Sorry.
we're going to do it again.
Well, I love the celebration.
It's just lit up for the festive atmosphere.
Oh, okay,
for-
okay.
So-
Well, this is amazing that we actually get to do this too, because I think the turning of this year really marks something special. Just the time of the year, it marks something special for all of us to be able to do all of this. How awesome is this year going to be? There's changes, but there's positive changes.
Yes.
And the changes are expounding our creativity and our abilities to be able to deliver all of this to so many families, like so much help. And so I think this is very appropriate today. And I'm happy to be a part of it. Thank you.
Well, thank you for being here. And, this is the first time we've had you on as a guest, and we'll have you on again.
Oh, yeah.
But thank you for everything you do.
Oh.
Because this is something that I believe is one of the biggest issues facing families with children with autism,
Well,
is the adolescent
I would
issue.
love to come back, and I push so hard for this, and so I'm just so happy to share it. And I'm really proud to just be able to deliver it,
And thank you for being so public. No, really. Because about your story.
Oh.
Because I think a lot of people might not want to be public, because you've had a difficult time. And
It's been rough for me.
Yeah.
The reason why I'm so public, though, and I do want to say this to you so that everyone can hear it, is because my one wish, if you'll call it, or my goal or whatever, it was to get other people to learn from what I've
Right.
gone through. I've been a single mom this whole entire time, and I've had to fight for services. I've been through disparities.
Yeah.
I haven't had enough money to pay for services. I've been called names and on and on and on. There's been so much that I really don't ever get into about my daughter and I, that it's really been painful for me to share that. And when she first got diagnosed, when I first started doing all of this, more public was coming up to me. Okay, you want to do this interview? Can you help us write this? And I didn't want to share because I didn't want to be known for having a sick
Right.
kid or whatever. But then I started remembering that there was more me's out
Yeah.
there. I started remembering how high our divorce rate was.
Yep.
And how many single parents there was. And so I couldn't really be ashamed of that, because there was somebody out there who needed to hear my story.
Right.
I couldn't be ashamed of people who had 5150 calls. We had 3 5150 calls since January, and that means 6 hospitals.
Yeah.
Dealing with psychiatric wards and just all the other things I was running. My daughter.
And a 5150, for people who are wondering
Oh,
what a
sorry, yeah.
5150 is basically an overnight or a couple nights, 72 hour, I think.
First you have a 24-hour observation. And that's a psychiatric observation,
Yeah.
psych hold. So what you do is you go to an ER, and a regular, everyday hospital ER of, thank God that we CHLA, you know what I mean? And I'm just going to flat out put that out there. And that's our family. So when we went there, we didn't have as much. But when the other hospitals that weren't CHLA or whatever else, not that they didn't provide great care, but my daughter was having a very hard time. And so there's only so much you can do, with a child who has that type of disability. She's being touched, there's lights
Yeah.
and whatever. And so psychiatrically, it went 24 hours, and then, then they try to put you in for the 3-day hold, and sometimes that turns into 7 days.
Yeah.
If the child is really having an issue. But in our system, I'm sure it's a whole other show that we could talk about this, but the system is not designed to actually really do anything else but calm the child down during that time.
Yeah.
And then they come right back home. And so imagine all the families who don't have services in the home. There's no ABA. They've never had an OT come in. They really are having a hard time getting to that care.
How many times has that happened
For me,
Yeah.
it's happened 3 times.
this year?
Yes.
Wow. Okay, well,
Yes, 3 times this year.
you're a strong person.
It's taken a lot out of me to be
And
that
you're doing
strong.
a lot with your life while you're dealing with this. So I really appreciate it. And let's...
No problem. It's my pleasure. It makes me work harder. That's
right.
all.
Well, have a great holiday.
Oh, thank you. You too.
And thank you for being my guest.
Oh, thank you for having me.
And that's once again the Adolescent and Puberty resource toolkit.
Puberty and adolescent, you got to switch it
Puberty and
around.
adolescent I was going alphabetical.
Yeah.
Resource toolkit on the Autism Speaks website, autismspeaks.org. Go to the resource page, download this incredible new toolkit for puberty and adolescence resources. You won't be sorry. Thank you once again, Kamina.
Thank you.
And we will be right back with Navah Paskowitz-Asner. Welcome back to On the Spectrum with Matt Asner. Joining me right now, you already see her.
There I am.
It's my beautiful wife, Navah Paskowitz-Asner.
Hello.
And our very special guest today. Hey, there he is.
Hello.
Oh my gosh.
I don't know where
Wolf
the camera is.
Paskowitz. Hello, sir. How are you?
I am good.
And we're here because 'tis the season. Today is the third day of Hanukkah.
Second.
Third.
No, it's the second.
No,
Second
it's the
night.
third.
Second
sure?
night. We've
It's the
only
second.
lit one candle.
No, I know, but this is going to
Oh
be
yeah,
aired
today's the
tomorrow.
third. Today's the third because this airs tomorrow.
Oh.
So
okay.
we're thinking into the future here. Here at On the Spectrum, we think one day ahead.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
So, number 3. So, and Hanukkah is the festival of lights,
It is.
and it's a holiday where. Why don't you explain what Hanukkah is? Wolf?
Well,
Do I think the best way to explain it to people, well, here's my background music, is to bring light into the world.
Yes.
That's the way that we were taught, that Hanukkah is about lighting candles and bringing light into the darkness. And I think right now, especially, it's a very
right now,
important.
where we look
Yeah.
into our world, and we see a lot
Pretty
of we see a lot of darkness and a lot of uncertainty,
Yeah.
and it's a very important time for us to bring light into the world.
And positive thinking and so Wolf is number 3 on our lineup of children. Wolf is
And
our
being born.
3 of 6.
3 of 6.
He's the 3rd, and we brought Wolfie specially today because he is our what we call a Talmudim. Is it Talmud or Talmudim?
It's Talmudim is multiple.
Okay, well,
Talmud
he's-
is one
he's-
single one.
There you go. There,
All right.
That answered my question. He's very knowledgeable in Judaic studies, and
Thank you.
I'm very proud of him.
Thank you.
What's your favorite thing about Hanukkah?
You
I
can
don't
say
have
the
one. I don't have
presents.
one. I
You
don't
can
have
say
one.
the presents.
Everything is
Latkes?
nice. No, just like everything. Like spending time with family, eating together, opening presents together, sometimes singing songs together. It's just awesome.
Yeah.
Well, like last night. Last
Yeah.
night we had a nice little meal. It was a,
Chicken liver.
traditional meal of chicken liver and
Latkes,
latkes. What are latkes?
the like potato pancake.
Fried,
Those are my favorite.
which
Jewish
is
hash
also
browns.
another part of the Hanukkah story, where you
So explain that. Explain.
you know that
what-
you can explain that part, where back in the day
Can't
they didn't have
remember.
enough oil.
Yeah, they didn't.
And-
They thought they had enough oil for only. I don't
One
remember.
day.
I think it was one
and
day,
it
but
actually
it
lasted.
8 days. It actually lasted 8 days, which is why there are 8 days.
That's
of
why they call it
Hanukkah.
the miracle of Hanukkah.
Ah, okay. So they only had enough oil for like one
Day,
night,
Yeah.
and a miracle happened.
and it lasted for 8 days.
Right.
It's
And
on
so
it's on
that's
the
why we
thingy.
eat foods that are fried in delicious oil, delicious foods.
So it's the only time we can actually
That's
eat,
the only time I actually let you eat something
eat
naughty.
fried food without feeling
Guilty, exactly.
Yeah.
It's,
Okay.
it's the right thing to do. And you mentioned earlier about safety, and I think we have obviously 3 boys of different variations on the spectrum. Wolfie is the superior. That's not the politically correct way of
No,
saying
it's
it.
not. No.
The other 2 are going to be sad about that. But no, I mean, Wolfie's very, very high functioning savant and musical savant.
Savant?
You're musical savant.
I don't know what a savant is.
It means you're really good at this
Okay.
thing called music.
But because we brought this menorah specifically because there isn't flame involved.
And we didn't want to set off a fire alarm.
Right.
So,
In our-
which is actually an interesting thing because this kind of happened. And,
Yeah.
and a lot of people are going to say, well, you know, we don't want to really have open flame, you know, around because of
Kids on the spectrum.
kids on the spectrum.
Right.
You know,
Well, by the 7th night, when you light all the candles, it's like you know, it's like
A bright light.
a forest fire. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember as a kid, my hair going up. So I think this is a really wise choice
so
for
this is
families.
something you can get at any store, and it's a electric menorah.
Yeah.
And I'll show you what it'll do. Oh, there we go.
Yeah,
I'll
lights
show you
up blue.
what we'll do here. See, it just for every night, you just light it up, and there you go, and that's the 8th night.
And then Wolfie, do you
it's
remember
on.
what the game of
Yeah,
spinning the dreidel
kind of.
is basically like betting. You
Yeah.
put in X amount of chocolate gelt and
legalized gambling.
then legalized
Yes.
gambling, Jewish gambling.
Except you
and
can
then you
eat
roll,
whatever you get.
You spin the dreidel, dreidel,
That was a good spin.
and
Oh,
then
God.
whatever it is, hey.
I think hay is you give half of what you have.
Right. So each character represents part of the game. Either you take half, you give half, or you take all. And it's just another game that it's just a fun game, and
It is.
But the main thing for us, I think, is just all of us being together, and the
Yeah.
kids like the idea of getting a gift every night. And but I know growing up, even in the camper, we had our menorah, and we made a big deal out of it. And it's about tradition, I think.
So let's talk about what are some of the special things. Let's talk to you, Wolf.
Okay.
What are some of the special things that you look for during the holidays?
Well, I look for no chaos, no like. I think a long time ago, like during the past years, there's always been a big fight of who lights the candles first, and that has always like been a very like must
It's an
ask
argument.
question. Yeah, argument.
But I think it makes sense to start with the youngest.
Yeah.
And that's what the rule we just have to do.
Yeah.
You have 6 kids, you have to start with the youngest. Each guy, there's 8 nights, each guy's going to get a turn.
Yeah.
So.
And that means I get a turn too.
Well, you and I get a turn, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Oh,
Yay!
I want
he wants a
I
turn.
want a turn.
You want a
So,
turn.
so what are some of the cool toys out there that people are looking for right now?
Oh, don't say it. Don't say it. Go ahead.
What
you
are
can
some
say
of the
it.
cool
right,
toys?
so-
that are-
It's a thing.
yeah.
It's called has a lot of names. It's called.
Okay.
A lot of people call it like it's kind of like it's a step below a hoverboard.
Uh-huh.
It's basically like a self-balancing. It's like it's like a Segway, but without the little things that you hold on to.
So without the thing that makes it safe.
Yeah.
And that is like a very popular,
Yeah, it's the
like,
number one.
must-have sort of thing. Well, not in this family, but it is in
Mom's
a lot
way
of places.
too paranoid for that.
Yeah.
Mom's way too paranoid for that.
Yeah.
I also wanted to point out that a lot of the kids that we work with are gluten-free and casein-free. And so we have on the autism-live website, I sent a gluten-free, casein-free recipe for latkes. And it's incredible. It's very, very yummy latkes that I want people to
And we'll put
attempt
that
to make.
we'll put that on our Facebook page tomorrow, and then we'll also tweet it out, and,
Yeah.
and maybe Autism Live will tweet it out too.
And I think a little more information about Chanukah. If you have some more questions, we'll put the
Whoopsies.
Chabad.org website.
Now, since this is a seasonal episode of On the Spectrum, it's only natural that we segue now into the other holidays that we celebrate in December, meaning Christmas and New Year's Eve. So, no?
No, just kidding.
Is Kwanzaa
Kwanzaa too,
also?
yes, Kwanzaa too. So,
Kwanzaa in December?
huh?
I
Kwanzaa,
think
I think
so.
is December. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about. We actually can I say it?
Yeah, you can say
All right,
that. It was
we
a really
actually
funny
have a
story.
tree, or bush, or whatever you want to call it.
Which is, I don't have Christmas trees, but the kids wanted it this year, and Matt grew up with a Christmas tree, and so
I did grow up.
I caved in, and we got a tree, and it's kind of a funny story. You should tell the story of Eddie saying, "Oh, we're going to get a Christmas tree," and I said, "No, it's a Hanukkah bush," and he goes, "Oh, let's go get our Hanukkah tree."
Yeah.
And
That was funny.
I think when you put a tree in a house,
But first, tell how did we decorate the tree?
we
That's
decorated
very
it
important.
in all blue lights.
Yeah,
Really
with,
pretty.
with Hawaiian star.
With
it's a
starfish.
mixture.
And a
With
Jewish
starfish.
star at the
Yeah,
top.
yeah.
So
Because-
it's got a little bit of something from from all of our families,
Yeah.
and a little bit of tradition from all of our families, and it's really a perfect thing to have in our house. And it smells wonderful.
Really good.
Really wonderful. It makes the house smell beautiful and fresh, and wintry fresh.
You like the smell?
I do. I
I
love the
it.
smell.
I don't
Oh
really.
God, I love it.
And we
It's my
have a
favorite
cat
part.
that loves the tree.
Yeah, lives in the
So,
tree.
Lives in the tree.
Attacks
and,
it.
And so, well, this is great.
Yeah,
This is great. So I appreciate you letting me have a tree.
of course.
I'm going to officially come out and say,
It was the majority rules in our house. Got to go with the masses.
got to go with the masses.
Yeah.
So, okay, now we're running out of time. I believe, is that true, Kelby? We're running a little bit out of time? Getting close? Okay. So I just wanted to say, I was excited right before I came in here. I got the news that Stephen Shore
saw
has
that.
been appointed to the board, the
Yes.
National Board of Autism Speaks. Stephen's a great guy.
I love him. He's a
And
great
so,
guy.
any thoughts on that?
No, I think it's about time. I think he's wonderful, and I think he'll be a wonderful addition. I've known him for a while, and I think he has a lot to say, and I think we're lucky to have him. I'm very excited.
And he's going to be our guest next month.
Wonderful.
So we'll have him
I'm
Skype
excited.
in.
Great.
Skype in.
Wolfie, any last thoughts on saying Happy Hanukkah? Chag Sameach to everyone.
Any notice to the world? Any wishes for 2016 that you'd like to put out there?
No violence, because I don't know what month it was. It was a very recent month, but there's been a lot of like violence happening around the world, especially in places like Paris, Lebanon. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Mm-hmm.
I think there was one recently in, I think,
San Bernardino.
yeah, and there was one in
Colorado, I think, too.
was there?
Oh, I didn't know.
Recently.
Oh, I didn't know about that one. But there was a lot of like shootings and bombings that happened, and it was a very like horrible time. And I'm hoping that doesn't happen at all next year.
Well,
Baruch Hashem.
I agree with you, and I'm happy that
Little
to
guy.
hear a young person talk about
Yeah,
the
aware of it.
situation.
It's kind of sad that he's so aware of it, but that's
It
our
is sad.
times.
But we do
Mad
live in
Max
in a time that we need to bring light into,
Yeah.
and
Light your
Wolf,
menorahs.
I want to thank you for coming and being on the show with us. It's been a very special time, and I know your mom's really proud.
Thanks for having me.
And Navah, it's always nice to have you on the show.
Always nice to be here.
And I love you.
I love you too.
And okay, so in January, we will have Dr. Stephen Shore with us, new board member for Autism Speaks. We're going to be talking lots about that, and we'll probably have a few other surprises. And I want to thank you for having me on your computer screens or whatever you're watching me on, Hulu or whatever it is.
Is it on Hulu?
For the last, I think we've done 6 shows. I'm really proud to be here. I want to thank Shannon and Doreen and all the people here at autism-live, Nancy, for giving me an opportunity to do this. And I also want to thank Autism Speaks for giving me the opportunity to do this. It's been a pleasure and an honor to bring you information and to give you my opinion on things. I hope it's been interesting. It has been for me, and I hope to do it many more times. So
See you next year.
until next month and next year, this is Matt Asner signing off, saying keep the hope alive, and I'll see you next time on the Spectrum.